Hello everyone and welcome to my second video on web development course. My name is Vivek and I have been teaching you web development, HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This is the second video. In our first video we learned what HTML file is, how to create one and how to create typography. We learned about HTML typography in our previous video. This video is especially for HTML forms and we're going to create HTML forms, learn about different attributes the form takes, different attribute the input box takes, input type text, and what are different input that we can create in our forms like email, text, password, file, radio button, checkbox, submit button and everything. So let's get started. So you can see here I have already created a file. This is our file from previous video that we have created called index.html file, and here we have nothing inside a body tag. So now let's create our form. Now as I told you before, HTML is just a markup language which contain various tag for various thing. Like for heading we have h1 tag, for paragraph we have p tag, for image we have img tag. So like that for form we have a form tag. So let's create our tag. So I create a form tag like this. So a form tag again has an opening and closing tag. So inside a form tag, let's create our first input, right? I'm going to create an input box and I'm going to give it type, and I'm going to say type equal to text. Always remember that the input box or input tag has to contain a name if it is inside a form. I will give it a name called username because that's what we will be submitting there. So I'll just say username like this and close it like this. If you can identify the difference here, the form tag actually contain an opening and closing tag, but our input tag is a self-closing tag, right? So there are different tags in HTML and two type of tag basically. So one is one contains an opening and closing tag, and other will be self-closing tag like image and input, a link and everything, right? So we can write self-closing tag in HTML as well. Name is very important. I have given the name equal to username. If you don't provide the name, then if you submit the form, then the value will never be submitted. So name in input box is very important to submit a form. I'm going to create a submit button as well. For now I'll give it input. I'll just say type equals to, and the type will be submit. So if you create an input with type submit, let's see, we will get a submit button. I'm going to go out here. First of all, I'm going to copy the path of the file. I'll just say copy path, go to my browser and paste the path and have a look here. You can see I get a user with medicals inside training folder. I have this file, and here I get an input type text, right? And I get a submit button. Now you can see here input type text is just lame input box and a submit button, nothing much into it. Like you can also see that if I give input type equal to submit, then I get a button to submit the form. Now let's do something with it. As I told you that HTML tag can contain attributes, right? And here also we have attributes. You can see here this type equal to text is an attribute, the name equal to username is also an attribute. Like this we can give other attribute as well. So let's give an attribute here inside our input type text. I'll give it an attribute called placeholder, and I will put inside it enter your user name like this. I'll just save this file. I'll go to my browser and refresh this. You can see here I get the placeholder called enter your name, right? So this placeholder will helps the user to identify what the input box is actually for, and that's the use case of the placeholder attribute. Now we have our input type text, right? And if I go out here in our browser again and try to submit it, then nothing happens. It gets submitted for now. But if I just go out here in my input type text and create another attribute called required, I'll just give it a attribute name only like required, because it will be a boolean called true and false. So boolean basically means true and false. So the value will be true and false, and if I just say required, then it is automatically true, because if you give an attribute required, then it will be true by default. I will go out here in my browser and refresh this. Now again the attribute didn't change anything, but if I try to submit the file now, it will give me a warning called please fill out this form because this is required and you have to put something inside it. So if I just type something and then submit, then you get nothing because the value has already been set, and if you can see here, we get our username in our this file. The reason that we get this is because we haven't given any path to the file where we want to send our value when the form is submitted. But we can do that because a form tag also takes another action, sorry, another attribute called action. So I'll just create an action here, and in action I'm not going to create another file because we are not actually submitting the file. We are just understanding the HTML form, what it takes, and how we can create one. That is our primary focus, and that's why we will not create another file to submit the form for now at least, but we will do that in our upcoming videos in our projects. But I want to let you know that the form tag contains an attribute called action, and what action actually does, it in action we provide the path to the file where we want to take the value of a form and submit it, and we want to redirect the value of a form and put it inside some other file. Then we can provide the path of that file to our action and the form will be submitted. So that's the use case of an action. I'm just not going to keep anything here. I'll just put an hashtag here, and I'm going to save this. Now if I go out here, if I just refresh this and refresh the file, or I'll just remove this from here and I will just go out here and type and submit it. You can see here it takes the value and it goes to this hashtag because we have not given any path where the file has to be where the form should take the file. Sorry, we haven't given a path of a file where form should take all those values and do something, right? We are not redirecting it anywhere after the form is submitted, and that's why it is giving us this hashtag. And I just want to let you know that the action is for action attribute is for a path of a file where we want to send our values. We'll do that in our in our upcoming videos in our projects. If it is getting confusing, then please don't worry. You will understand it better when we will use it in our project. Let's focus on form only for now. Now you can see here I have created this input type text, right? I'm going to create another input type. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to paste this like this. Now input type will be email, right? I'm going to give it a name of an email. Name is important because if you don't give it a name, then the value will never be submitted by the form. And inside placeholder I will just say enter your email like this. I will save it. I'll go to my browser. I'll just refresh this page. You can see here I get another input box with an email. So what's the difference between the email and text? If I just type here something and I just submit it, of course it is required, so I have to put it something here as well. If I submit this, you can see that please include @ in email address, right? So it does that automatic validation for email. It means the email has to be @gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or anything .com. So it does that automatic validation. So we can just put input type equal to email and it does the validation for us. Another input type that we can keep is this, paste it right here. I'll just say input type equal to password, and I'll just give it a name of a password, and I'll say password, and I'll also give it a placeholder of enter your password as well. I'll just save it, go to my browser, refresh the page, and I get the input type password. So what does input type password actually does is I can just go out here and type something, and you can see here it is kept inside this dot. It gives it the sense of a password, right, with these dots, and that's the use case of input type password. Other input type we have is a radio button and checkbox. So we have a multiple choice or a multiple option where user can select something, that we can put that in our radio button and checkbox. So let's create one. I'll just create an input type, and it will not be a text, it will be a radio. Now now if we go to our browser and refresh this, I get this dot, right? And it doesn't have anything because we have not given any label to it. So I'll go out here, inside above it I'll create a tag called label, and I will just put label like this. I can say okay, I'll just give it a tag called label, And label will contain an attribute called for. I'll just say for which input, right? So I'll just say for equals to, and I will say country. And inside our radio button, I'm going to give a name, and I'll give it name called country, and also give it an ID called country, right? So let's see the use case of label here. I'll go out in our browser. If I just refresh this, okay, nothing happens for some reason. Let's see. Input type radio. Okay, so inside our label we haven't put anything. I will just give it select let's say Australia. I'll just save this, go to my browser, refresh it, and I get, right, I get this Australia as a checkbox. If I just click on the label only, the radio button will automatically get submitted. So let me tell you what label does, right? So we have in this modern web, in our Chrome or in our modern website, we have this feature of screen reading, so that the visually disabled people can actually use our website by just hovering over it. So if a user who have a problem with their visibility, with their eyes, can actually focus on this radio button, and it will automatically read out loud the name of a label, so which will help those people to actually understand what the form is for, right? So that's the best use case of label. And another case of label is if very old people or old people are using our website and they cannot actually submit in these small dots, then we can provide a label, and even if they click on the label, the radio button will automatically get selected, right? So that's also the another use case of label, because if you click on a label only, then the input box will automatically get out of focus, right? So that's the use case of label. It is for and that's why we are using label as well. So if you see here, label takes an attribute called for, and for country, and the name that you give inside of for has to be the name that you give inside the input box, and also give it an ID as well. This is important. So we have created our label. Now let's create our checkbox. I'll just copy both of it with label and input box, and I'll just paste it right here. I will just say mail, and I'll just give it a input type checkbox. I'll give the name of I can select both of it, like Control T, remove both, and I'll just give it name of mail, right? And inside here I will just say uh, mail. I will just give it like this with question mark. I'll just save the file, go to my browser, refresh the page. I get the checkbox. I can select the checkbox like this, and even if I select on the label of a mail, the checkbox automatically gets selected, and that's the use case of label as well as I have described before. Now that is with checkbox. Now let's create another input type called file. So input type file, the use case of input type file is so that we can upload images, videos, or audios, or any kind of file that you want to upload in your browser. Let's create a input type file. I'll just go out here and say input. I'll just give it a type, and I'll give it a type of a file like this. I'll just close it like this, go out here, save it, and if I go to my browser and refresh it, I, okay, so English. If I go out my browser and refresh it, I don't know what is happening here. Never translate doesn't matter. Okay, I don't know why it is not working. So okay, spelling mistake here. So I'll just give it. I'll just save the file. Go to my browser, refresh the page, and I get choose file, right? So input type file gives us an option to choose any file from our computer, and then from our device, and user can choose anything from their device and upload it. I'll just go out here and I can choose image or video or audio, any kind of file, and upload it in my browser. So input type file helps us to upload file. Input type file is used to upload the file, right? So that is an HTML form. I hope you like this video, you understood about HTML form and how it works, and we will be using the HTML forms in our projects, where we will be creating login and registration page, while we will be learning JavaScript as well. But that is what I hope you understand better what HTML form does and how it works. If it does, then please hit like and subscribe again, so that the video reaches to the people who really want to learn web development. And if you have any suggestions for me for how can I make better videos, then I will be um, happy to get any feedback and improve myself from there as well. So yeah, I hope you like this video. If you learned something new, then please hit that like button and subscribe button, and please support the channel. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.